Howdy now, hello everyone, I'm Ray, the Critic and reviewer. Today we'll be talking about, well, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm finally back in the green screen, or for you, a POV of Mako. But, I don't know, I just felt like I should probably come back. Now, I could give an actually good reason, and one that would cover up the real reason why I left the green screen, or I could be lazy and just simply go, this is why I left the green screen, and, I'm gonna do the lazy option because I'm lazy like that. So, the reason why was simply because I was just being lazy and I just didn't want to go over here to the green screen and then have to export it to my computer and then have to put in the editing software when it would be much easier of just recording an audio file on my computer and then just putting that said audio file into the video and have a job well done. Anyway, let's get started with Mako. Mako is a Bulger and Mapyard, extremely fun hypercoaster. Everyone says it's one of the best, if not the best, B&M hypercoaster, and I can believe that. Because, wow, Mako is a floater airtime machine. It feels like you're just in space 90% of the ride, and that's a good thing. But of course, we can't forget how we got to this point. So let's look at a little bit of a brief history of where Mako stands, SeaWorld Orlando, and see how it got to this point. SeaWorld Orlando opened as the third SeaWorld park. Yes, I did say third, even though SeaWorld San Antonio hadn't opened at this point. This was because the last two SeaWorld parks was the original SeaWorld San Diego and the SeaWorld park that was then taken up by Six Flags and turned into Worlds of Adventure, and then we all know what happened to Worlds of Adventure, so that one closed, but that one was SeaWorld Ohio. These three parks all had the same focus, marine animals, until SeaWorld Orlando got their first coaster in Journey to Atlantis in 1998. Journey to Atlantis, I will be making a video on Journey to Atlantis and the other two later on, because these three, oddly, well, the San Antonio one, that one doesn't have that much of a story, but the other two actually have a pretty interesting story. So I will be talking about the Journey to Atlantis in a future video in this season, but Journey to Atlantis opened as SeaWorld Orlando's first coaster, and it was a surprisingly well-themed one for a park like SeaWorld. After that, they got Kraken, a B&M floorless coaster, which was SeaWorld Entertainment's one of their earlier thrill coasters, as very obviously SeaWorld San Diego only got Journey to Atlantis and then Manta and their first thrill coaster being Electric Eel in 2018, and the only other one, from my knowledge, was Great White at SeaWorld San Antonio. And then after Kraken came, of course, Super Grover's Boxcar Tour. Okay, no, we're gonna skip that. That was actually originally called Shamu Express, but once again, I'm getting there. Then after that, Super Grover's, they eventually got Manta, a B&M flying coaster that I have actually ridden, just like Kraken Journey to Atlantis, and I could say all of those previous rides that I've mentioned are pretty fun. Manta is very fun. I just kind of like Tatsu a tad bit more, but I'll be making probably a review on Manta eventually. I may do a combined video with Manta at SeaWorld San Diego so I can finally tell people that those two rides are not the same thing. But we don't have to talk about that right now. We just have to continue on. After Manta came, well, I think we all know what happened. In 2013, CNN released the Blackfish documentary. This was basically exposing SeaWorld parks and all other zoo-like parks about the treatment of animals, but it was basically just a SeaWorld film. And this basically made everyone hate SeaWorld, because, I mean, like, granted, yeah, they did have roller coasters. That was certainly not the focus of their parks. As I said before, Super Grover's was originally called Shamu Express, and Shamu, an orca whale that was actually at all of their shows, was pretty much the face of their theme parks. So SeaWorld almost basically went under and almost just straight up went out of business, because I'm like, no one was visiting their parks, and the only thing that they had going good for them was their rescue initiative, which weirdly enough the Blackfish film did not mention at all. So yeah, after this, they added basically nothing to their parks because they didn't have the money to. And then in 2015, or around that time, something interesting started to happen with SeaWorld that may, just maybe, could save their company. SeaWorld got an idea. They said, how about we start adding coasters to our parks? 2016 was when Mako and Tempesto were added. Both of these coasters were pretty much the start of a bit of a renaissance for SeaWorld. They were in their dark ages beforehand, see what I did there? And these dark ages, as I said, were very, very bad. They almost went out of business, or they were on the brink of almost going out of business. So, you know, they really needed something. But then, thankfully, they got a new CEO, and that CEO was pinpoint on making sure the parks got back, had a better reputation, and had a reputation of roller coasters and rides. So, that's why they added Tempesto and Mako. So, let's look at the construction of Mako. It was announced that Mako would be Orlando's tallest coaster at 200 feet. It would have a 200-foot drop, and it would go around a lake that Kraken also shared. It would also get pretty close to Kraken at the beginning and end of the ride. So, Mako construction started with them building a retaining wall for all the footers and construction stuff. And, of course, walls went up around the area where Mako would be. And then, track arrived. This track would have a blue spine and purple rails, and cross ties, I guess. And this track, in my opinion, looks pretty nice, along with the turquoise supports. And then, Mako went vertical. As the ride slowly went more and more vertical, and more work was going on with the area, eventually, an official POV went out. Now, if you're feeling like I'm kind of going a little bit too fast, or a little bit too, off with these construction updates, it's because I was not a coaster enthusiast at the time, and I was not even vaguely interested in coasters at the time. So I have no idea in what order these things came from, and I only have dates. So I just have to kind of figure out what these orders came in and how I can kind of fit them together. So if I miss something, just say that in the comments. Anyway, eventually, Mako opened on June 10th, 2016. And it was an extremely fun ride. So, let's look at the queue. The queue starts off with you entering under the Mako sign. You go into this nice little garden that reminds me of Manta at SeaWorld San Diego's queue, except less nice, because Manta at SeaWorld San Diego's queue is actually really good. So, once you get into a little bit into the queue, you see a tester seat. Now, please, for the love of God, if you are a bigger rider, test this seat. Please. Oh my god. So, yeah, I didn't have that much trouble with bigger riders on Mako, but seriously, there was one time where a rider was too big to fit, and they took a good 5 minutes to check and then see that it didn't work. Check again, see that it didn't work, and then finally get them off the ride. And that took like 5 minutes and made the line a lot longer than it should have been. I'm glad I had a quick queue, but still though, that line got way longer than it should have been. And either way, even if you see a test seat and you are a larger rider, even if you don't think you are, you are. So please, test that seat. And if you think you're a little bit too small for the height requirement, test the seat. The test seats aren't there for show. They're there for safety purposes, and so that way the line doesn't get obscenely long. God. Sorry, I just need to let that out. Anyway, once you get past the tester seat, please use it. You go into just some simple switchbacks and some nice plants, as you see the maintenance building that is actually themed. You pass under a little bit of a themed pier. Now, I like this. Again, it actually has theming. Emperor. And after you go through a few more switchbacks, you go into this nice enclosed space with more switchbacks, and a TV screen that shows the safety features for the ride, and a screen that was not working when I went. You go up some staircases, giving you a good view of the ride, as well as giving me a few shots for footage, and then you get to the station. A station that has a roof over it, and is actually themed Emperor! And then finally, you get to the ride car. So let's see how Mako rides. Once you dispatch from the station, music starts playing. This music is pretty good, and I think the composer did a pretty good job. Once you climb up the lift hill, you go actually pretty fast. And, well, not as fast as Emperor fast, but pretty fast. The music gets more intense as you climb higher and higher up. When you look around, you see Kraken and the rest of Orlando, as well as the rest of SeaWorld. You near the top as the music gets more and more intense, and then you crest the hill. You see the rest of Orlando, and you drop down the 200-foot drop. You hit, and then you go through the ride photo, and you go over an overbank turn. You go down into another bottom out, and then you go into the famous 5-second floater hill. And yes, it is as good as people say it is. And then you go through a nice S-bend, another overbank turn. Then you go down into some trim brakes, because this would go way too fast if it wasn't. Then into another floater hill that is still really good, and then into another floater hill that brings you into a simple turn that is still pretty good. Then into a small little ejector pop, and then back, and then into another ejector hill, into a mid-course brake run. In the POV, I was showing it didn't slow you down, but it slows down here. You go over another floater hill, providing some pretty good floater. Then into an S-bend that is okay, I guess. And then into another turn that is, again, okay, I guess. And then into a great photo op against the water. And then finally into the brake run. That was Mako. And even though the way I described it wasn't much, trust me, it is extremely fun with all the floater airtime moments and how it makes you feel like you are in space. Now, to finish off the video. So, I think that's gonna be it for this video. This is a start of, like I said before, an entirely new season. So I'm hoping this season goes well, and I'm hoping y'all like this new season, because with my channel recently hitting 100 subscribers, I'm hoping this is a sign for the future. So, hope you liked this video, subscribe if you haven't, left your one subscribing, leave a like. And I was Ray the Coaster Critic, you're the viewer, and I'll see you in the future. Goodbye. And then finally, oh god, I think I tried a little bit too hard with that bit. What are these wires? Oh. It's the electricity. That wire, that metal beam probably shouldn't be snapped. That has wires in it. Oh, I'm just realizing how much this garage is a fire hazard. Okay.